Now, what if I told you the PlayStation 4 is getting a price cut? Like right now, like today. This is the FOXHOLE feed, people. Happy Friday, everybody. This is the FOXHOLE feed, episode 15. PlayStation 4 is getting a price cut today. Every news outlet is pretty much reporting that North America is getting a price cut starting today of the PlayStation 4. If you did get a PlayStation 4 last, 30 days, I believe it is. That's what the time it's for. You could essentially get your discount if you go to any retail store that you have. So this is in Canada and in the US. So if you, for whatever reason, if you purchased your PlayStation 4 let's say last month or a couple weeks ago or whatever, you could actually go to that store with your receipt and just get your get your discount so you can get your game on. I mean, this is going to help them greatly in North America this fall, but I don't even believe they needed help this fall. I mean, this is a nice price cut, and I actually don't even really believe the system needed it, because I believe they're going to do really well this fall with a lot of the titles coming out with like Fallout 4 and Star Wars Battlefront. I think they're going to do well. Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, and they got a whole bunch of deals with all the other companies. I think they were going to do fine regardless. So this price cut is nice for anybody who's looking to pick up the system this fall with a game. They could equal out that $400 pretty easily. Even better for bundles, because I'm pretty sure a lot of those bundles that are equaling the $400 are going to be even better deals now that this price cut actually happened. But who knows? This price cut may not even be like a price cut. I mean, what if they're just getting rid of these older 500 gig models and seeking those like 1 terabyte models? So who knows? That could be the case. But get them while they hot. Bethesda released the specs for Fallout 4 for your PC, and they also released the download size or the install size for consoles and PC. They're stating it's going to be 28 gigs to 35 gigs depending on the languages that you're going to be speaking. The system specs go as follow. For minimum, you're going to need a 64-bit OS. They're not going anything lower. Clearly, you need more than 8 gigs, so it's not even going to matter. So I don't know. That's one of those moot points. Yeah, you need 64-bit to play more RAM. What are you going to do? And once you get with an i5, for Intel, it's going to be a quad-core AMD Phenom, 3 gigahertz or equivalent, which is actually, that's not bad. It's actually pretty low. 8 gigs of RAM is going to be the minimum. 30 gigs is what you're going to need for the hard drive space. The GPUs, what everybody wants to know about here. GPU specs are going to be much lower than Battlefronts that I reported a couple days ago. It's going to be a GTX 55 Ti, 2 gig. For the AMD, it's going to be Radeon 7870. 2 gig model or equivalent. Their recommended specs, it doesn't really matter. They're recommending a 780 3 gig model. For NVIDIA, they're recommending a R9 290X 4 gig equivalent for AMD. So if you're getting a game digital, be on the lookout for that. I don't really buy my games primarily digital, so this is like interesting news, but I'm buying it on console and I'm not actually looking to purchase it digitally. Even on console, I'm not buying it digitally. Speaking of digitally, speaking of digital games, could segue into this next one nicely. Got a nice article off of Kotaku questioning why are so many games disappearing from the App Store. So they're stating that every year Apple updates their operating system for the iPhones and the iPads and the iTouches and everything, and states that it breaks compatibility with many games. So there's like a list of some titles that are removed because of compatibility issues, and that a lot of these companies have to basically make the fixes to make them fully compatible for other hardware iterations as they go on. Now I don't play mobile games. This is not really something that I'm saying just for the sake of, news of people who might play mobile games that might worry about this. I mean, it is, but I state this based on the concept of digital titles that, are releasing. So, because of this and Apple's having this on their store and these games are disappearing due to compatibility, and the company now has to basically make it recompatible in order to have it sell again, or just abandon it and not have it continue. I came across a very interesting dilemma while playing Metal Gear Solid 5. The last podcast, or newscast, I was playing MGS5 online, while I was reading the news and while I was, saying some stuff. And it dawned on me that, if I do play this and I do like it, I mean, what happens if Konami decides that, they're just going to close it? Consider that this same company also stopped PTs, from its existence. PT no longer exist for many who have it, no longer exists. It was removed on some people's systems, and you cannot buy it on the store. So in some respect, it makes you worry about what's going to happen to this game. I mean, they did that to just a game. What are they going to do with a multiplayer game that's going to need more servers, especially considering the statements that they've made as of late regarding going to mobile and no longer doing, no longer doing console games or AAA games. So who's to say they're going to spend the money to support these servers? So it made me really think about, do I even want to care about Metal Gear Solid Online? I mean, this thing could be gone in months. It really could be gone in months, and I'm not kidding about that. So I worried about it, so I decided not to. I segue it back into this topic regarding these games getting removed. When you have a game digitally, especially since we were talking about Konami, and they removed PT because of whatever their financial situation was, and they decided they weren't going to do those games any longer. When you have a situation where you have an OS and you have a infrastructure that has these games in a digital format, and there's no other way to essentially play those games but on a digital format, what happens when this company updates their systems? Because I know that Apple has mandatory updates for some of their updates are mandatory ones where you have to update to whatever that is, or they just stop compatibility for it whatsoever. Now something like that happens, that essentially means that you no longer have the ability to play some of those titles, or you have to upgrade. So when you upgrade, it wouldn't even matter anyway, because you're going to lose the compatibility of those titles. You're going to lose those titles until a company decides to say, like Capcom and 2K or all the companies that are making those games, decides to say, well, we want our iPhone games to work on all of the OSs, and we're going to keep updating them until they do. My biggest issue is, well, if something like this happens to console regarding digital only type infrastructure, what's to stop any of these companies from just deciding that they're going to remove their games every 2 years or every 3 years? I mean, we already have games that get removed off of online. I know SOCOM from the PlayStation 3 version recently got removed, and I think it was MLB The Show also got removed, and I know Microsoft removed a couple of games off of their servers, which, I mean, we understand, some of these multiplayer games, they live for a little bit and then they die off when when the crowd goes away. But we're not really talking about, just merely multiplayer games. We're talking about, titles that you own. We're talking about single player titles. Now, I don't know if all of, my users know this or not, but if you purchase a game off of Xbox Live or PSN, I think it really matters which one. So if you purchase it on either of these two, you could go back and re-download some of these titles. Let's say your hard drive blew up and something happened to your system. You have X number of times where you could re-download those titles. Now, with the sake of something like PT, if my hard drive explodes right now, PT's gone. I could never play it again. And what assurance do I have that if there was ever an all digital, future, what assurance would I ever have of being able to play my games confidently and know that they still, would exist, if something happened to my system? I still play old games. I'm still playing a lot of old games right now, simply because it's just the way I am. There's lots of old titles that I didn't get to play, or I like replaying for whatever reason. I've replayed Metal Gear Solid 3 literally, I think it's like 16 times or something. It's probably 15 or 16 times. It's got to be more, because I'm planning to play it again. Now, That's just me though. But had it had been some sort of digital only future and they decided to do something like that, then I would clearly have a limited number of times that I could ever, you know, own this title if I just had the worst luck of owning a console. But this is, never mind whether or not I had the issue or not. Consider a company like, Konami could just decide that, oh, we don't want to do that game anymore, so why pay to keep the servers up for it to be available for download, and just remove it. I have Steam games that it's like I bought on sale for like, $2, a couple pennies or some shit, and I hadn't played them. Okay, if my computer dies tomorrow and something happens and they're like, oh, you have to re-download all your games, and Steam says, well, that company went out of business, Edwin. We can't go out here and give you your money. We can't give you your game because that company went out of business. So what are we going to do? That's not their problem. But if something like that happens, that's what worries me about this. And this thing that's happening with Apple, regarding this compatibility made me think about that in regards to, do people really want an all digital future? A lot of the comments that I've been reading off of, Kotaku and other, sites have been, citing lots of the same things. Do you guys really want such a future in which all your, rights are, just straight to a company where at any moment in time they could just say, you know what, we don't feel like, supporting that game anymore. And then, that's it. You can't not support a disc anymore. That's yours. Like when you buy the disc of a game, it's yours. You do whatever you want. It's yours. You can't copy it or anything, but it's yours. And in that respect, unless you always have the device, you'll always be able to play it. But when something's digital, you're running on a slippery slope here. That game exists so long as the life of your damn hard drive exists. And that's scary because we have to understand that, these hard drives have lives. They have a shelf life. And every hard drive has a shelf life. And once that thing goes out, you're screwed. You're going to be in a situation where, oh no, what happened to all my games? And oh no, 8 or 9 of these companies either don't exist anymore or won't allow me to download. That's not even beyond the point. Consider that some of these companies may not even want to sit there and allow you to play some of these older titles. Let's say Activision says, man, there is just a high install base playing Modern Warfare 65. We out here trying to push Modern Warfare 66. You know what? Fuck it. Cancel it and just cut off Modern Warfare 65 and let's push Modern Warfare 60. How do you know a company won't do something like that? We don't really know that. Konami did it because they're going out of, they don't want to do those type of titles anymore. But for all we know, we have companies right now that would do that type of shit just so they could get sales. The same company, Activision, if you've ever looked up the price of their games, and I've talked about this before, the price of their games are ridiculous. If you go online and you check out on Steam, shit's like games came out like 2 years ago, right? They're like full price $60 on Steam from Activision. So digital future, not something that I want, considering what's happening with Activision. I can be blown this way out of proportion, but this is an example of the type of crap that happens when, all your content is linked to like a single company. But I digress. Now, some good news on a smaller VR title that was announced all the way 2014. Showed it at E3. It's called Loading Human, and the good news is that apparently Loading Human is running at 75 FPS on PlayStation 4 and on its PlayStation VR, which is nice. But this game was announced for Morpheus all the way back when Morpheus was first announced. It was announced for Oculus Rift and Morpheus. You guys see in the corner of the screen, they got some crazy ass shit going on. It's running on Unreal Engine 4. The developer basically states that you have to have like these little controller things for it. So basically like it works with them. Same thing with PlayStation. As PlayStation will probably use the Move controllers for it. I know they're using Oculus's controls to move the hands and like manipulate things. And in the corner below you'll see, and I'll link to the trailer so you guys can take a look at it. Very interesting stuff. Apparently this game's this game is going to be the first, what was it? It was it was supposed to be like the first VR kiss scene or something is going to be inside of this game. Oh, it's about some kid and it's like his dad's like dying or some shit. He got Alzheimer's, I don't remember. And the dad's dying, and then he like sends him off somewhere to do some like intergalactic shit. Either to save his life I mean, it's probably not even to save his life, so I'm probably just saying it because it just sounds like it's probably the truth. Now, it's going to be told in like several chapters, sort of like episodic, and it's going to be coming out spring 2016. Boys fucking lying. You damn well know the shit's not fucking coming out no damn spring 2016. Young boys, just get ready for that delay. I'll report that shit too. Now on to some Mass Effect Andromeda news. BioWare seems to be a little giddy in terms of talking about this game. Now lots of people are getting mad at their cryptic tweets, and they're always talking about like the world, and they're talking about certain small things about the game, the detail, and then like releasing screenshots, like when they're showing like the Mako and like a whole bunch of other shit. But the producer was talking to some sites recently. He's tweeting lots of information regarding the game. And one of the things that he reveals that this winter, you know, they might maybe be showing something. So when asked regarding, you know, whether they had any news for them or when we would actually get any news or an update, he says squirrels do with nuts, we're hoarding them for winter. So I mean that sounds like it's pointing towards somewhere towards November, December they're going to show something. Now let me remind you guys that N7 Day for the whole Normandy 7 and the crew and everything is going to be clearly November 7th. So that could definitely be the day that they show more footage. I'm not rolling shit out, all right? Ubisoft came out here and they were giving no fucks, and they went and they announced Far Cry Primal out of the blue. So we got games down there being announced out of fucking blue. I am not rolling out a gameplay reveal right now of Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm calling it right now. That shit could happen any day. That thing could just pop out and they'll just be like, bam, surprise, here's a whole gameplay trailer. I mean, if they're announcing damn near games right now. All right, so it wouldn't really shock me if that was 100% the case, considering that the game is coming out the ending of 2016. For all we know, EA has an entire marketing push for this title for an entire year. And we could just be seeing the beginning of it. Hope you guys liking all the Star Wars footage you guys are seeing this episode. Gonna really get into a lot of Metal Gear Solid stuff, and Star Wars beta's out. You guys check it out. It's a lot of fun. I'm really liking it so far. So it's been an episode 15 of the FOXHOLE feed. You guys have a nice weekend. Stay tuned for episode 16 that comes after, right? Gonna be checking out the Star Wars stuff. I'll probably have a crap load more Star Wars footage for the next couple of newscasts as I keep playing it for a little bit. So you guys check out Star Wars Battlefront on whatever platform you're gonna be playing it on. You guys have a cool weekend, and yeah, let's game.